Hey guys, it's me, Damon Hart, also known as the Foxy Home Buyer. But today I'm just coming to you with a quick little video because, you know, I get asked this question like often, and I sat down and really thought about it, and I've even asked some of my, my friends and peers that are real estate investors, what is the one thing that stops people from having success? Because look, if you were to look around the internet, there's no shortage of information on any friggin' thing, right? If you want to lose weight, there's probably 1,000 different videos and books and opt-ins and funnels that you can enter that'll give you all the information you possibly could want on losing weight. Same goes for, parenting, uh, anything you want to figure out. Amazon dropship, setting up ATMs is one I saw the other day. Shit, you can even find out how to sell Bitcoin, right? Like there's nothing that is not available because we live in one of the coolest times in history because there's no more iron, there's no more iron curtain. There's no more guy behind the mix trying to figure stuff out or trying to keep all the secrets. Like if somebody knows it, they can just put it out tomorrow and make that available. So why is it that people now still fail at not only just real estate, but in life? So I myself wasn't always like successful at a lot of things, especially real estate. I mean, I remember times when probably the most. If I had to think back, like what was the shittiest part of being in real estate investing was when I had a job. I had pretty much like sunk all my money into another business and wasn't very successful at it. So I went and got another gig, and I was working for someone at one point. We were doing door-to-door sales, and we were going into like businesses cold and just asking people to buy from us like the day we were there. And it was like we would be in the heat of summer, full suits on, and the rejection rate was just playing the numbers, And I remember at that time I was hustling. I was just out there every day going cold. And at the time I was so strapped for cash that I remember my wife and I hanging out at nighttime. I'll leave you the X-rated version for you people out there that, are a little bit sensitive. But let's say me and my wife were hanging out together, and I just kept getting this phone call, like on my cell, and it was like 9:30 or 10 o'clock at night. I pretty much had to go to, work the next morning. So I was like, man, I'm not picking this up. Well, later on that night, after my wife and I were through, I picked up and I checked the message and I called back, and the guy who was calling me said, hey man, sorry I didn't get in touch with you, but you know, I tried to ask you if you wanted to take the stuff out of your car, but I had to take your car, So, yeah, so the repo man was the nicest repo man you ever met, apparently, because he at least wanted to let me take my stuff out the car so I could get to work tomorrow if I had anything personal. But dude, he took the car, it was gone. It was like right in front of our house, and I couldn't even get it back because I couldn't get to work. So and it was one of those jobs where you had to drive to where you had to go. It was like one of the key components of the job was getting to where you had to go to find these businesses. So I didn't have that cash. I didn't have the money to make the payments. When I contacted the bank, they told me that I had to not only pay up the past due payments, but I had to pay up the entire balance of the loan, or else they were gonna repossess it and then liquidate the car and we'd be responsible. So instead of having to come up with $900, I had to come up with $9,000, of which, I didn't have that money, and just looking back on it, I can kind of laugh about it now, although just telling the story just now kind of sucks. But, what I realized is that, I was working really hard, and I was kind of seeing success in it, but I couldn't really have that much success to the point where I could even take care of it. So long story short, and my wife and I ended up having to sell some jewelry that her mom had gifted her on our wedding day, and her engagement ring. It's the only thing we had a value to get my car out of repo, you know. And it's one of those things, man. It's humbling experience, but you also realize that, man, you have to kind of make some changes in order to never have that happen again. And you know what I'm about to show you is kind of one of those things that I implemented, and I think it's why a lot of people don't have the success that they have. You know, most people, I believe truly in my heart that most people work as hard as they do because, you know, they know they have to provide something. They work really hard. The problem is, no matter how hard you try, I have learned, and I will show you that, you know, a lot of times there's other factors that you can't control that unless you actually go and work on them, they're not gonna fix themselves. So I got these little circles here, and you know, I know what you're thinking. Damn, Damon, your artwork is ridiculous. I can see why you're so successful. But you know, just bear with me on the drawings for you fancy pants drawers out there. But let me start with what I have right here, and that's just these 3 circles. The first is C. I'll call this one SC, and I'm going to call this one S plus. Okay, so your first is pretty much your conscious mind. All right, and for you people out there that might be like, well, okay, I see where this is going, bear with me, because I'm going to school you onto some things that you may not know. And if you're struggling in having success in anything, especially real estate, which for a lot of folks tends to throw up a big block because it's a huge opportunity to make that much, I mean, it's an opportunity to make life-changing decisions and occurrences very quickly with real estate. Like I said, you know, it's a statistic, find it anywhere. The majority of folks' wealth is created in real estate over time. Well, imagine if you're playing with that much force and that much action, how nervous that could make someone if they don't know what they're doing or if they don't have the right mental capacity. And that's what I'm going to talk about here. And the first thing I want you to kind of be aware of, in my opinion, why people don't find success is belief. That's the main reason why folks don't find success. That was the main reason I, looking back on it, didn't find success in real estate, is I just didn't have belief. And I've heard a lot of different schools of thought. You know, surround yourself with like-minded people so you can get the beliefs. And you know, once you get away from all those naysayers and haters, you know, you can go ahead and flourish. Me personally, in my experience, I couldn't do that. You know, in the beginning, although I wanted more from my family, the people that I cared about the most around me were the naysayers. My wife was a big naysayer because I wasn't having any success, and she was out there busting her ass too, and she was more concerned about our family making it than she was about me taking a risk and going further. Now, obviously, times have changed. You know, my wife's my biggest supporter. I'm her biggest supporter, and we, you know, transformed our life to a point where, you know, we're living a dream life compared to what we had, and we're always building. But you know, the main thing is like belief. The issue I have with people that say, well, if you want to change your belief, you change who you're around. I think the one thing that you forget about when you fall into that line of thinking is that there's one person that you never escape that might not believe in you, and that is the person you got in that head of yours all day long. That's you. Okay? So what I'm going to do is help you break down, or give you a framework to break that down. And I don't know if anybody's really talking about this shit, but I think it's important for real people to understand this, that look, you know, the desire you start with, it's real and it's possible. You know, I'm a true believer in the saying that if you like actually believe or actually see yourself doing it, that's the start to you actually doing it. But here's, you know, the framework that you have to understand in order to get to that next level. So let me kind of step back and break down the three parts. So it's your conscious mind, which is the C, the SC, that's your subconscious mind, and the SC plus, which is your superconscious mind. Okay, so let's start with the conscious mind. Okay, the one thing I want you to know about the conscious mind is it's the thing that it's the senses that we all run into. That's the conscious mind. Smell, touch, hear, taste, all the things, feel, all those things that are like in those six senses and things that we know to be true. That's your conscious mind. Okay, so truth, right? Like, hey, I know this. I know this. The water is wet. I know the sky is blue. I know my mom loves me. Like those things that are true for most people, that's in your conscious. Now, in your conscious mind, I want you to know that sometimes what you believe in your conscious mind doesn't always matter so much for how you're going to be able to perform, because your conscious mind, and I'm going to tell you something a little, I guess, radical for most people, is really only 1%. How many percent? 1%, not huge, 1% of what's like actually going on in your real life. Okay, so to use the example, let's call your subconscious mind or your conscious mind like the size of a flea. And you would think, for all this shit that we think about daily, when we're thinking about all this different stuff that's happening, the conscious mind would be the one thing that we would think we could do so much with, but it isn't. It's only 1% of what you actually use and think about, okay? So with that conscious mind, knowing those two things, mind, truth, and 1%, it's also primarily your shield. You know, my shield. Yeah, that's my shield, okay? That's the Hart insignia. It's your shield. It's your protector. So the conscious mind is going to reject a lot of things that might seem a little bit weird or not true, and reject those ideas. Like, you know, for example, if a woman says, hey, she looks in the mirror and says, I am beautiful, and, you know, her conscious mind believes, no, you're a fatty, or, hey, I'm going to get this money. And your conscious mind says, no, you're not. You're not going to make any money and be successful in this real estate thing because it's a new idea and it's threatening. Conscious mind is going to reject it. Okay, so that's your first. All right. So what most people deal with that I see that aren't successful, they only deal in the conscious. All right. The access to actually having huge success in real estate, but anything. This is what I preach to my 12-year-old. This is what I preach to my family. This is what I preach to myself, and what I've learned over time has allowed me to have success in real estate and other things, is you have to dig into this next step, okay? And that's the subconscious. So what is the subconscious, you might ask? I'm glad you did, because you're not actually asking anything. I'm sitting here talking to you. And let's call the subconscious is actually 99%. Compared to that flea, your subconscious mind is the size of an elephant in comparison. Okay, 99%. They're the whole show. Okay, and the subconscious mind is, although it's super huge, it's actually very, you know, docile. You know, kind of like a gentle giant, like, you know, an elephant would be the best example, right? You know, elephants, they can do whatever they want, but they pretty much can be manipulated and moved wherever you want them to if you know how to control them. Does that make sense? So with 99% of all the actions happening and docile, that should be encouraging. If you're not back here in the conscious mind saying this guy's full of shit, that should be encouraging, because that's what allows most people to get and break out into that part of it, that part of your actual being, and understanding how to bring that stuff out and forward. And I'm telling you, people, this is like the sauce. You know, what a lot of people try to do is they try to say, okay, look, I'm gonna make this decision. I'm gonna be successful in real estate. And they say, yeah, I'm a real estate investor. And they go out and they take the action and they start and they go and they buy a course, they buy this, they buy that. And they have all the information here in their conscious mind to make stuff happen. But what did I just say? You're a flea, right? You're the 1%. Can a flea tell an elephant what to do? Heck no. Elephant tells a flea what to do. And that's what really happens. No matter what you want to do over here in the conscious mind, your subconscious is the one that's controlling what it is you do. So whether you make that decision that you want to change your family situation, you know, you're sick and tired of your boss, or you're sick and tired of how things are going down, until you change that subconscious mind, there's nothing that will change in your life unless you can go and affect that. You know, it's unfortunate, and I see it all the time. It's like a big train wreck, but people never stop to think like that's what you have to do. And you know, what I would tell you is the next part of the subconscious mind, which is so powerful, is it's already running. Like, you know, I'll give you the example. It's like, I'm gonna use a positive example. You know, when you're like on a, let's say you're on a diet and you're trying something new for the first time, and you're just like, yeah, I really want to commit to doing that. And you're eating. Then you start eating and you're doing fantastic and you're kicking butt with the diet after a couple of days. And before you know it, you know, one day you just have, like, I guess people call it like a relapse or a breakdown or whatever, and then you just go and crush it, and you hit, you know, like a couple of pints of ice cream, and you get it in with a few burgers or whatever it is that your choice or whatever you used to do, you know, and you crush it. And then what happens is you end up hating yourself, and then you go into it a little bit more, and then before you know it, now you're not, you know, you feel like you fell off the wagon and you're out. You know, and people will come and beat themselves up and say, you know what, I suck at this, I'm not good at it, I tried it, I failed, or the diet didn't work for me, you know, or I didn't have a really good coach, you know, I didn't like the classes, I had to work, right? I hear all of that in that excuse, and I also hear all of that in real estate, you know. When you can sit back, and I mean, I made those same excuses too. So it's not like I'm just making it up. I made all those excuses, but I didn't have any belief. I didn't have any understanding of what it was that how I could get there. I just knew over here in the conscious, you know, it was a good idea. I wanted it. So what I had to do, what changed for me, is I had all these right parts. I had, you know, the information, I had the will, I was willing to work, I was willing to talk to people, blah, blah, blah. But it wasn't until I started changing the subconscious and really influencing that, that's when things opened up for me. So some of the things that opened up for me, where I would, you know, only probably do one deal in real estate. Like my first real estate deal I got from a referral from a friend. I made $10,000. And then after that, I didn't make any money in real estate for another 4 years. When I started to get the subconscious was a lot part of it, and why I started to realize that, hey, I kind of thought like, hey, this wasn't something I could really do because I didn't deserve to make all that kind of money. Well, sure enough, after I dug into that and started attacking my subconscious, well, it's not attacking, reprogramming my subconscious. What I noticed is that I started to get bigger and bigger checks. And I think I'm up to my biggest check to date was probably like just on a standard wholesale, not doing anything, just a wholesale deal, in and out, 50, and I'm 50,000. I've done that probably. No, actually, the biggest check was like 105,000, but I split that with someone else. So for my share, 50, and then I've probably done 53 or 4 other times. And consistently on any deals that I do, I usually look for a benchmark at like 10 and above. So typically I do like 10,000, 20,000, 30,000. And these are deals I don't even necessarily close on. A few of them I'll buy and hold on to, but for the most part, I'm not holding these. You know, it's just deals that I buy and I make money and I keep going. So that all came from not just being here, like, hey, I'm thinking about it and it's awesome. It came a lot from being here in my subconscious and reprogramming myself to do what? To increase belief. And then as a result, you get the result of what you want. Because, you know, I don't know if you guys are hip hop fans out there, but when I was a kid, there was a song by Jay-Z, who's still super popular. But it was one of his albums says "Mind Right, Money Right." I think it was with Memphis Bleak, and you know, it says "Get your mind right, money right." Well, you know, I think people now are trying to get their money right, their coaching right, their studying right, all that stuff right first before they get their mind right, and that's why you're failing. You know, that's the number one reason why you're failing in real estate. Has nothing to do with, you know, you not having a whole bunch of money. Yeah, sure, that's going to play a factor, but it's not the end result. It's not because you're a woman. It's not because you're short. Not because you're fat. Not because you're handsome. Not because you're ugly. Not because you're gay. Not because you're black. Not because you're white. Not because you're Mexican. Not because you're, you know, from another country. You're on a terrorist watch list. Has nothing to do with any of those things that people tell me crazy. You know what it is? It's this belief. And it all comes from, man, this is messy, but I love it anyway. It all comes from here, subconscious, and feeding into your conscious. And if you can affect that, how to do that, you'll start to see things changing. It's just the way it works. Okay? And if you're one of those people, I'm telling you right now, if you're one of those people that's looking at this video and saying, man, this shit is crazy. Yeah, right. So just tell me how to do it. What I'm going to tell you to do is then go back out on the internet and anybody will tell you how to do what it is you're looking to do. There's no shortage of information on how to do it. Most of it is kind of like half-assed, I'll be real, because I look at this stuff and they just give you a little bit, bits and pieces, teasers to give you information. And then you go out there and then you say, oh man, I don't know enough, you know, and you prey on your not believing, and you know, you end up spending more and more and more and more, you know, and then they get you for a few dollars. Well, and then you walk away and say, man, that doesn't work and I'll never try that again. But in reality, you know, there's no shortage of information. What I'm telling you is you got to get, before you do anything else, you got to dig in here and find out how to get access to that. And you can get there whether you have the money to put into real estate as far as like investments that you feel that you have on hand, or you have some other cash that you might want to dig into, or no cash at all necessarily that you have to spend because this is something you really want to help change your current cash flow situation and not long term. It's doable. But if you're one of those people and you're thinking, oh man, this is just BS, guess what? I'm not offended, because that's your conscious mind trying to protect you from the harm, because your conscious mind kind of knows, hey, you don't believe it anyway, so you're going to be stuck. Okay? So, I mean, over the years, I've kind of developed and learned tools on how to break those things down and get working on the conscious part of it and the subconscious so that you can have success. So lastly, before I wrap up the video, is now you're super conscious. So this is my favorite part of all of this stuff. Someone's printing something here in my office. Probably my wife. But conscious, you know, conscious mind is obviously your protector. Subconscious is your genie, right? Your elephant. They really run the show. Whatever they believe, it does, right? Whatever it believes, it does. If it's commanded to do something, it does it. Your superconscious mind is where all of those creative ideas come from. You know, not like when you sit back and get really high and then just think about great ideas. You know, and no, we're talking about like the stuff that's infinite out there in the universe and brings us all together. You know, do you think that we're all disconnected? You think we all just got connected from Facebook and the internet? No, we've been connected since the beginning of time. The difference is we just don't get connected as often because we don't stop to really see how we're connected. And in the super conscious mind, that's where we get all the information that we could possibly want from each other. Things like what's the next biggest trend, or how, who do I need to talk to in order to be a good mentor for me, to get into this kind of real estate business. How can I have a better relationship with my wife? All those things, you pose them as a question, the super conscious will provide. Okay, and I'm not an evangelist. We're not in church. I'm just telling you this as a real human being. It's magic, and it's the most beautiful, a part of your mind that if you explore it, when you explore it, it's really cool. It's really cool, and you'll get tons of value from it, and your family and everybody else will be happier for it as well. So, super conscious, and yeah, just like the super conscious mind, it's kind of like, I guess you would say, like the oracle. It's like the oracle. Neo, when he goes, and I guess in the Matrix, when he goes and asks the oracle all these questions, that's what your super conscious mind is all about. So, with all that, I kind of just put this video out. I've been thinking about it for a long time, but I feel like this is something that not everyone is getting. So I feel like it's my duty to deliver this to you in an effort to help you have more success. Look, real estate is only one component of building wealth. It's probably the most tested and most stable over time, especially if you know what you're doing. But I also don't think it's the only way. I know it's not the only way to make money and have success financially. It's just one that's worked for me. And I can tell you that I always knew it would work for me. And the tools I just showed you today helped me to see that a little bit more clear and guide me there with the help of my super conscious, conscious, and subconscious. So if all this stuff was helpful, please leave a comment below. Even if you think it was, bullshit, just tell me why you think it's bullshit, and I'll just, probably politely just respond. And maybe I might even, let you call me or something, and we can talk, and I could give you some more insight, just to help you kind of get where you want to go. Because look, this stuff, it took me years to find, and tons of books, and tons of going to rah-rah meetings where people are like, yeah, it's gonna be awesome, we're gonna make millions of dollars, and then Monday you get back, and then the first person that says no to you after you get there, you're just like, man, forget this, I'm done, like I can't do it. And then you just end up quitting. How do I know? I did it a bunch of times, so but if I had this, yeah, things would have been different a lot sooner, for sure. So I hope that it helps. I hope it adds some value for you. And again, drop a comment if you like the kind of content I'm putting out. Subscribe. I am available as a coach and mentor. Don't expect me to be, telling you, some BS. I will tell you the real. If you want to make money in real estate, it's going to be work. It's not going to always be easy. However, just like a real job, whatever you're doing, it's not always easy, but you do it, and you get paid for it. With real estate, you will do that, and then you will make volumes more than what you're making in your real job, depending on how much money you make. And it's going to be way more rewarding because you're going to create yet another stream. Like a wise man told me one time when when he said, like in this life, consider you're in life and this is a fight, and if you're in a fight, the way that you win is to have a puncher's chance. And, think of like one stream of income as like a finger. All right. And imagine in a fight and you got one finger. what are the odds of winning? And I look at that and I'm just like, well, yeah, you know, what are you gonna do? Poke somebody, tickle them to death, or poke them in the eye? You're not gonna do that. You know, you're gonna get your ass beat. But with two, well, you got now double the chance. Maybe you can poke them in both eyes, right? You can hit them in the neck, something. And I'm not a violent guy, guys. I'm just giving you examples, but you know, you can hit them in the throat or chop them or something because you got 2 fingers. Now 3, 4. Now when you get to 5, or you know, as more your streams of income increase, now in life when you got to fight, now you got a fist and you can fight back, right? So if you got 1 stream of income and maybe you're killing it right now, just remember, you only got 1 finger in a fight. You're vulnerable. That whole thing gets taken away from you. All stuff you work for, after those savings go away, guess what? You're in trouble. So, you know, you're not here by accident. You're here to look because you know that maybe, you know, you're not comfortable having 1 finger, or maybe you're just like, you know what? I'm tired of struggling. I want to be able to fight like I was. So, something to definitely keep in mind, and glad you tuned in. So again, hope it was valuable. Me being a coach, you can reach out. I do have a cell phone number, and I will give it to you. And it's the same cell phone number that my wife has for me. So call me. I will talk with you. And if I can help you, great. If not, I'll tell you it's not for us to work together. And I'll do my best to point you in the right direction. Okay? All right. So with that, everybody, I want to say thanks for tuning in. This was a long one, but it was a great one. And if you want me to add more content on this particular topic, definitely subscribe and comment on this, and I'll definitely go into more detail on how to, you know, program and that sort of thing, because that'd be a really long video. But you gotta let me know if you want me to drop that stuff. All right. So for now, this is me, Damon, signing off. And remember, you don't need a fancy office. You don't need a bunch of money. You know what you need to do? You need to get ready to hustle, and you can do it from home. So, ready to do that? Just like me, come on down. I'll help you. All right. Bye for now, guys. See you. And hey, Brazil, Brazil. No, I'm not Brazilian, but guess what? That's my team. So Brazil, Brazil, World Cup. Let's see what happens. Go, go, go. All right. And I'm out of here. You good? Boom.